Hello guys, and welcome to our Core SIG meeting. Today the agenda is full of releases. I will be moderating the meeting today, and Lukas Kornicki will take the notes. And please don't forget to add your name to the attendees. The first topic we will start with now is announcing our 06 release. We finally, we successfully last week released Kyma 0.6 Cairo, and you can guys go to kymaproject.io to our blog post and read more about the topic, about the release right now. The main good announcements achievements that we did in this release is that we used and released Kyma 100% by PRAO. That was very successfully implemented by our public PRAO working group, which we'll have a brief about in a little bit. Also, one of the main release themes that we achieved is more into Knative integration. So we have an installation of Kyma with Knative that you can enable it based on a feature flag. And we also have a renaming for the remote environment and the environment controller into applications and namespaces, namespace controller. So you might want to read more about it. You'll find the blog post in the notes, and hopefully you can try it and validate it. For the next topic, we would like to discuss with you the planned release 07, and Piotr Bohinski is with us to discuss the new release.
Yeah, so I do not have a blog post yet, but I promise to have it soon. So right now I will just talk about that briefly. What is planned for the next release? What I can share today is that the release date is 11th of February. So we start with this release 4-week cadence. So each 4 weeks we plan to have a new release, so new features, and new release will be every 4 weeks. And in the next one, 0.7, the code name will be Dublin. So the previous one was Cairo, now Dublin. We will have such improvements. Yeah? So starting with PRAO mentioned before, we have PRAO as main CI CD for Kyma, and we will add a new pipeline to check if Kyma is upgradable. So starting with next release, we want to have really upgradability as a capability of Kyma, so you will be able to upgrade existing version to the new version, because we will have new version every 4 weeks, so it's really useful in an automated way, and we will test it. Next, we will have also improvements in our nightly builds. So right now we do that on our internal infrastructure. PRAO will be also allowing us to build nightly and weekly builds. So we will check every night and how integration tests are going, and we will also have some longer lasting clusters. So this goal for weekly pipelines is to have tests how in a longer period we will our components and all the integrated components will behave and have more stability in our product. So this is more referring to the infrastructure. Then a couple of features. We started in 0.6 working on the authorization authentication concept for our UI API layer, so GraphQL. Now it will be applied and implemented in this release for our components, so we will have authorization implemented there as big improvement. We continue also working on environments, replacing them with namespaces. So in the UI you do not see environments anymore. These are plain namespaces. We will continue in this release that under the hood also namespace is first class citizen, and we get rid of these environments. Then we also revert a little bit the way how we operate with service mesh with Istio. So we in current version we have default sidecar injection disabled. We will change that, so every new namespace you create will have this automatic sidecar injection, so you will not be required to modify your deployments and use all service mesh capabilities out of the box. And we do some improvements in auto scaling of components like API server procs, so we will have better scalability of our components. Next big thing I think is that we will do more support for Azure. So we will start with installation Kyma on AKS, so Azure Kubernetes Services. And we will also want to support provisioning Azure Broker in the runtime, so you can pick Azure Broker and from the service catalog and install it with your subscription details and use it in running Kyma cluster independently. Yes, so a couple of small improvements in Helm Broker, like once provisioning only once, because deploying multiple brokers doesn't make sense. So that smaller improvements also will be there in 0.7. From Knative integration point of view, we want to have event publishing and even subscription in Knative in the next release. So this is something we started in the last release as POCs. So now we want to have it in the product, still under the feature toggle. So you need to enable Knative integration. Default installation doesn't have that, but it will be there. Some improvements in Lambda UI, so we will have possibility to run to test lambdas directly from UI, so you do not need to expose this lambda before. You can just test it from the console. And we will have a couple also of improvements in monitoring. We will add more controller services and UI components to our Grafana, so we will see more and more details in monitoring. What I have more, of course, we continue also in the work in the UI, some improvements, more integration with Fiori fundamentals, so we will have more consistent UI and UX, and that's everything from the UI. And last but not least, we have we will have first version MVP of asset store. So this is our Minio component, which contains the resources, the assets we use in the documentation for our APIs. We want to have big refactoring there, and somehow new component asset store and that will handle that things. So this is our foundation of headless CMS that we will deliver as of MVP in the next release. Also some improvements in test area. So first end-to-end test will be implemented. That's actually checks entire story with application connector. We will have this application connector mock used there, so we will do all this end-to-end testing, and we also improve a couple UI tests, especially in service catalog area. So this binding will be tested automatically. I think this is most of the scope we plan for the next release. I will try to put it in nice blog post soon.
Thank you, Piotr. Yeah, that was very interesting, and it seems like an interesting release for Kyma that's coming up soon. Yeah, guys, keep checking on our website and watch out for the blog post, and make sure that you give us any feedback about any of these planned features whenever you want. Speaking about the feedback, we also like to regularly announce on our core meeting our proposals that are public on our GitHub. So we have a couple of proposals that we would like to talk about, and Lukasz will talk to you about them.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there are 4 different proposals that came in. I'm going to leave this at the end because it's a longer talk. So first of all, it's about application connector improvements, which is part of our application connectivity in Kyma that allows you to connect external applications into Kyma. So please take a look on this proposal. The other 2 is, the first one is the release process improvements. So basing on our work in PRAO and also the release strategy that we want to publish soon, we already started thinking about how we can improve the current process to address the strategy that we are aiming for. So basically be able to release every day. So that is super important proposal to get feedback on, because it just addresses current issues with some solution that at the end can be, these issues can be solved in different ways as well. So if you could give feedback or even create a counter proposal, then it would be awesome. Then this common code validator, that's something for contributors, internal and external. So we want to, again, improve the contribution to our components, because we notice that all our most of our components, they are not really consistent if it comes to the code validation, build triggering, etc. Different components simply have their own approach, different solutions, and one of our guys had time to prepare a nice proposal that will consolidate the approach and make it really nice to maintain, so we will not repeat the configurations in each component that much. So really awesome if you could give feedback here. And the asset store, something that already PB mentioned, that the MVP is planned for 07. That's why it's planned for 07, even though the proposal is still opened. The proposal is opened for discussion until Friday, but it's a proposal that is actually a continuing of the proposal that we published 2 months ago to the public, so for a headless CMS that also PB mentioned. So we worked on it for some time. We would like to close the discussion on Friday, but we already started some preparation for the implementation. So yeah, keep in mind that you can still influence where we go. And yeah, that's it if it comes to the proposals.
Thank you, Lukasz. Yeah, feel free to contact us regarding any of these proposals, whether on Slack or directly on the Google group or on the public repo. And if you also have a proposal, feel free to send it to our mailing list. The next is about our community-related topics, and one of the our working groups is successfully closing business after becoming rich and closing down. And we have Suleiman, who is one of the leads of the working group, who will give us a brief update about the status of the working group and announcement about that. Suleiman?
Here. Hey everyone, I just wanted to announce that from the beginning of this week, we have ended the PRAO working group. Our main objective was to migrate from the previous Jenkins CI/CD tool to the PRAO for all of our repos, and it was successfully done. And now for all the Kyma repositories, PRAO is up and running, and it's integrated with all of them. So when you create a PR for one of those repos, you will notice that PRAO will trigger the jobs automatically. And on top of that, we, as Ahmed said, we also released the latest version of Kyma using purely on PRAO. And last but not least, although the PRAO working group has come to an end, we will still continue improving PRAO because it is a very active community and it is changing every day. So we will keep an eye on the PRAO improvements, and we will do our job for our PRAO instance as well. And we already determined some tasks for the next release. If you want, you can just go ahead and check the epic under test infra. It's called PRAO server improvements. And that is it.
Thanks a lot, Suleiman. I believe that's about it. If any of you guys have questions or would like to do some feedback, feel free to talk about it now, or we are always available on Slack, and we will definitely try to respond as fast as possible. Okay, thank you guys, and see you on our next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.